Welcome back to Sonic Creations, everyone. So, I have played through both Sonic Generations and Shadow Generations as one complete package and had a lot of time for it to soak in. I 100%ed my file. Now I just want to give you all my brief thoughts, having played the game one time, 100%. Now in the past, for those of you who don't know, I've exclaimed my love for Sonic R, especially considering it was a shorter game, it has unlockables, and you just run around the world and collect things. It's fun, but it was really simple. And I get that same feeling with this game. It's like this much smaller adventure that's much more contained, and there's an open world element to it, but it's very compact but intricate, but that really works. And I think all of the abilities just flow so elegantly with one another, and the gameplay really shocked me because it really is weird. When you look at the footage, you can think maybe it controls like forces, but no, once you play it, it completely locks in that no, this is the best feeling game that we've gotten in a long time. Just the game feel is so good. I instantly got locked in and beat it in one sitting. I could not wait to finish it another day. I was just so into everything that was going on. Now, I do have my grievances. I do have my things that I'm like, okay, first one, I wish the game was longer. I feel like it could have had a whole second half, and this could have been the first half. And I think that's the weirdest thing, because usually I'm pretty content with the lengths of games, and I am content with this one, but I do think that, yeah, we could have gotten a Shadow level, which would have been nice, and I think would have tied everything together in a much better way. And the other issue was Mephiles. It was a little bit of a letdown because I was wanting a little bit more from the dialogue. I didn't necessarily expect more cutscenes or for him to be heavily involved in the plot, having something to do with Black Doom or Time Eater, but now I'm realizing it was ridiculous for me to think there could be such intricate plot, with that many villains, connecting together. It would have been cool, but again, because of how good the marketing was, it could have never lived up to that. But I still think it's great that he had an appearance here. I do like his dialogue. One of my favorite bits, I think, was when he's just really frustrated and he's like, I want to exist, and he just says it in this way that was kind of like, oh my god, Mephiles just clawing his way back into the timeline, forcing himself back in, and he's getting pushed out and he just wants to exist. And I don't know, it was such a visceral moment, a little bit maybe too relatable, I would say, because I don't think Mephiles would mind not existing since he tried to wipe out time itself. So I don't know, it's things like that where I'm like, I like the appearance, but I'm like, this isn't really that accurate to his character. And a lot of people also I've seen do not like the voice. And I get it, he captures the cadence of Mephiles, and I feel like that's what's important. Yeah, they should have hired someone who had a deeper voice, naturally, but I still think it was a job well done. I really enjoyed the performance, and I think he was definitely doing his best Dan Green impression. But so yeah, the voice was a little too high-pitched, I guess, for some, but I didn't mind it. I thought he sounded great. It's more of the performance and the cadence that matters more than the voice being the right pitch, in my opinion. I think performance trumps that. So it was good to see that character again. It was very, very cool. And it's nice to see that Shadow didn't need to remove his inhibitor rings to defeat him this time. And it seems that, he's back to being sealed away. And so could we see him again in the future in some capacity? I mean, I don't think so. Unless it's another Generations game, like a Generations sequel, which would be very far out from now. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a character that we see again. That's just the feeling I get. I could be wrong about that. You never know what could happen. But off the topic of Mephiles and just going back to the game here, I think overall it's a beautifully put together package of games with amazing art. And it's too early to say, but this is definitely up there in my top fives, I think. Gotta be, of all Sonic games. I think this is definitely up there. And I think it also has the potential to be one of the most replayable. And for that, it also is a win. The more replayable and fun a game is just to control, just the controls itself, let alone the rest of the game, and all the missions and stuff, which I do want to mention. I really do like the extra bonus missions more in this game than I do the original Generations. I find myself not going back to those challenge missions in Generations, but I do find myself going back to them in Shadow, and I don't know if it's because the way the game's designed. The challenge stages are just easier to access because you're just having fun exploring the stage, and also there's a stage select in the menu, so you can just choose where you want to go, like you kind of like a fast travel. So I mean, you can tell they put a lot of thought into it, and it's perfect. There's nothing that was too glaring about the game that just made me go like, I don't know about this, you know? Everything was perfect. I think this is the most fun I've had with a game in general in a long time, like a new game, you know? So hats off to Sega and Sonic Team. I liked the rewrite for Generations. I think that's another thing I wanted to talk about. It didn't change too much. It just adds a little bit more to their characters for them to remember things like West Side Island and all that kind of stuff, and have more of a banter between one another, and clean up some of that old dialogue that was a bit outdated and sort of, I don't know, some of it was poorly written, but it's hard for me to say that because these things are so controlled that it's hard to say who wrote what and who changed what and all that kind of stuff. Like, and the writers are just doing what they're told to do, and you know, so I don't want to like say it's anyone's fault or anything like that, but it was just a different time back then. So they definitely cleaned up the story for the better. I think Ian Flynn did a really good job rewriting the dialogue. So yeah, everything sounds great. This is definitely the definitive package for Generations, and it's just amazing to see after all these years they bring this old game back to life and breathe fresh new story into it, you know. And the story itself is beautifully done, and I think having Maria and Gerald here is a beautiful thing.
I'm sorry I put you on this path, Shadow, but I'm proud of how you have walked it. I believe in you, son.
Shadow!
It's all right, Maria. I'm letting go of that destructive anger. But I will continue to fight. Fight with your wish in my heart. Your wish for everyone to have a chance to be happy.
I never would have thought that that's what was in this game, honestly, and that was the most shocking thing, I think. Like, you know, as we got closer to release, realizing, oh, we're gonna see them, and they're gonna have cutscenes, and it was amazing, and to see them interact again, and I loved what they did with it. It's like, this is official, we get to have this, and say this is a part of the story, and this is a part of the canon, and that's amazing. Like, honestly, I've been really bored by the game stories in the past like decade or so because they have never referenced or used old plot lines from previous stories and games and brought them back in a meaningful way and tied it into a new story, like weaved it into this new plot that has either a returning villain or a new villain, and we get to just sort of, it's like, it just feels like more of a continuation. It feels like, oh, this is what I always wanted to know, you know, this is what I always wanted to see. This is just the best thing that could happen, you know, this is the best case scenario. And I hope that Unleashed, whenever they get to a remaster of Unleashed for PC, I hope that, and other platforms, I hope that they definitely add something like this, you know, add like this other campaign with another character at the helm and see what they were doing, what their story was during the events of that storyline. And I think Unleashed would be a perfect one for that. But I know that that's pulling a little bit even further beyond Generations. We don't know. There could be some copyright reasons why they can't touch that. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but they seem to have a reluctancy to touch Unleashed. And I think it's partially because of the reviews, yeah, but I think there's something else going on behind the scenes we don't know about, and we could only speculate. I think one of the theories, like I said, is the copyright. The fact that Paramount can't touch that game's story, and maybe Sonic Team can't remaster it either. I don't know. There could be more that needs to get done for that to be a reality, and it just may be easier just to leave it untouched and sort of forgotten. That would be unfortunate, but that might end up being the case, you know. So yeah, that's all we can do is just sort of keep an ear out for rumors and stuff like that, and hopefully something happens eventually with that game. But yeah, it just makes me want more of of this sort of format of like, oh, hey, this other character, even if it's Shadow again, like in the future, they want to do this again with another game. That's cool. But like, I would like some of the other characters to get a spotlight like this. Like, we still have not seen Tails or Knuckles get their own game, or Amy or Silver or Blaze. And you know, it's time. The side characters are becoming main characters again, and we should do that for more of the other characters, which, by the way, we did kind of get that with Knuckles in the animation for Frontiers, which was very good. But I'd like to see more of a highlight on other characters as well. As much as I love Shadow, you know, this is like, I basically got the game I've been waiting for like over a decade, well over a decade, like since my early childhood. Ever since I played Shadow the Hedgehog, I've been waiting for a sequel to that, you know, and so this is basically the closest thing to that. And I'm including Dark Beginnings in this because I see that, and which, you know, Sonic Team says it as well, it is canon and it does take place before that other story. And so I love the way the two stories connect very smoothly with each other, so you could watch the Dark Beginnings and then just jump right into Shadow Generations, and it just makes complete sense, and you don't need much explanation outside of that. You know, even if you don't watch the Dark Beginnings, you can watch it later and get that extra added context, which it's cool that you can sort of experience Dark Beginnings as a prequel or as the first episode to the bigger story, right? So that's kind of cool. Lots of different ways to look at that. But yeah, before this video goes on too long, I've really just been rambling about a lot of things that have just like come to the forefront. But yeah, some of the best stage design, level design. The music was it was like hit or miss, you know. And I don't want to make anyone mad. I'm just sharing my opinion. It has nothing to do with the genre. I love EDM. I love all of that type of music. I make electronic music. I have love for all genres of music. I really do. So I don't want to make it seem like that's what it is. It's just some of it seemed a little rushed. The production seems too simple. The sounds seem too basic. I found myself wanting to use the older soundtracks a lot more. But the music is good enough. It's serviceable, but there were just some moments where it was a little bit too much dubstep, and not the good kind of dubstep, like a very basic and simplified, outdated version of dubstep that somehow still gets pushed into this mainstream media production of like video game music and movie music. And I don't know why. It's like this very simplified, like, this is dubstep by definition and the textbook definition, but it's not really doing anything interesting. As someone who enjoys dubstep, I don't really like the way that was done. And I'm talking about the Chaos Island music. Yeah, it needed some work, but that's okay. Like, it's not bad. It's certainly far from bad. These are just nitpicks at this point. But yeah, music, mostly 10 out of 10. It's just those few tracks that sort of threw it off for me. So overall, I would say this is a 9 out of 10 experience. 100% would give this game a 9 out of 10. I agree with IGN's rating for once, which is really bizarre. I don't know what timeline I'm in. Yeah, let me know what timeline we're in the comments. I really appreciate you guys watching all the way through this video if you have. I will be making a lot more videos about this. I just had to dump out all of my feelings on things so I can continue working on the bigger projects that I have surrounding this game. Do expect a full playthrough very soon, and also many more discussion videos on this game in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, creators. Peace out.